Weak users with crazy overpowered stands. Alright, so in JoJo, we all know stands are supposed to be like a piece of your soul, so it makes sense to think, hey, if someone's got a badass stand, they must be pretty badass too. But no, we've seen tough-as-nails users with absolute garbage stands, and then total losers with some of the most broken powers in the series. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. So first up is Echoes, the stand of our boy Koichi Hirose, one of the main Jo brothers from Part 4. Echoes was the first stand to bring in the idea of acts. It evolves as Koichi levels up in life. It started off as an actual egg. Its first real form showed up during Koichi's fight with Kobayashi, and let's be honest, it was kinda trash. It literally punched a dude and nothing happened. But Echoes wasn't about brute force. It was about weird, creative powers. It could write sound effects onto objects, or even people. Whatever sound it wrote, it actually happened. Like when it wrote squish on Jasuk's hand and made a guy think he stabbed himself in the eye. It could even write stuff that messed with people's emotions. This version showed up when Koichi had to deal with Yukako. Act 2 was a big upgrade. It shot sound effects from its tail, and whatever effect the word described actually physically happened. Right burn, and boom, it burns. Then we hit Echoes Act 3, which popped up when Koichi fought Sheer Heart Attack. This version got super cool. It could increase the weight of anything by like 50 kilos. Act 3 had some insane moments. Koichi saved Jotaro, held off Kira, and even messed with Bites the Dust at the end of Part 4. And this is a big but, Koichi himself is still weak. Yeah, he got into Kira's head rent-free, but physically, he got stomped. The power gap between him and his own stand is actually hilarious. Now let's talk about Hol Horse, the world's most cowardly cowboy. This man's whole vibe is talk tough, then run, but somehow his stand is one of the most dangerous in the series. Emperor is a gun, but not just any gun. Its bullets are homing. He can literally aim at his own head, and the bullet will curve around and hit his target anyway. They're so fast they even outran a move from Silver Chariot, and that stand is all about speed. Hol Horse is a total goof, but his stand, straight up killer material. It just proves again the power level of the stand and the user do not have to match. These bullets are actually part of the stand itself, which means they've got a limited range. So yeah, even if Hol Horse fires and the target moves out of range, the bullets might still land, but they'll barely tickle. The damage drops off hard. Now here's the wild part. Dude has a revolver with bullets faster than Silver Chariot, which, fun fact, is supposedly faster than light. His bullets can even pull U-turns midair, and yet Hol Horse is still one of the biggest cowards in the entire series. He never fights solo, ever. He always latches onto someone else stronger and lets them take the lead. That's exactly what he did when he first showed up, teaming up with Guile, the guy with Hanged Man. But even in that duo, Guile did all the work. Hol Horse just stood around looking confused, and they still lost. Later, he links up with Boingo, who's literally a kid with a comic book stand. Like, bro, you've got a self-aiming, anime-defying magic pistol, and still need a child to back you up? Even in the official spin-off Demonic Heartbreak, Hol Horse is still the same dude, hiding behind Jasuk and letting him do all the heavy lifting. Honestly, if he wasn't such a chicken, he could have easily picked off the Crusaders one by one, follow them quietly, wait till they fall asleep, then boom, night-night, or trap them in an alley and just light him up. But nope, Hol Horse stayed in NPC mode the whole time. The funniest part, some JoJo characters have ridiculous stands that only work under super specific conditions, like only in water, or only during a full moon, or whatever, and they still had more guts than this guy with a heat-seeking hand cannon. Now, let's talk about Black Sabath, the stand of Polpo, one of Passion's capos. He first shows up in episode 3 of Golden Wind during that creepy lighter test. Basically, you're handed a lighter and told to keep it lit for 24 hours. If it goes out and you try to light it again, Black Sabath pops out of the nearest shadow and murks you. No second chances. And if someone else saw you light it, yeah, they get clapped too. Black Sabath is one scary dude. The darker the area, the stronger and faster it gets. It can zip between shadows like a teleporting ninja. But here's the catch. Shine some light on it and it's toast. It can't survive outside of shadows at all. Even a little light makes it super weak. Its freakiest ability, it can literally yank a person's soul out through their shadow. If the person is just a regular human, it stabs them with a stand arrow it keeps in its mouth. Yeah, no idea why it stores the arrow in its grill like that, but it does. If you're compatible, congrats, you become a stand user. If not, well, RIP. When it tried that move on Giorno, it didn't work, because what came out of the shadow wasn't Giorno's soul, it was Gold Experience, blocking the arrow, like a boss. Black Sabath's final moment happens in episode 4, when Giorno beats it without Polpo even realizing what's going on. Giorno passes the test, and earns his way into the Mafia. Then later, Polpo bites into a banana, which Giorno turned into a gun, and ends up shooting himself. Black Sabath appears behind him one last time, and that's the end of both Black Sabath and Polpo. You'd have to be real dumb to fall for a trick like that. First off, the guy sets up this big test, then just leaves it all to his stand to deal with. Like, bro, what if someone starts wrecking Black Sabbath? You wouldn't even know. You're just chilling in your cell, munching on food like nothing's happening. Which brings me to the next point. This dude only knows how to eat. If he hadn't died, in 3 more months, he probably wouldn't have even fit in his own prison cell. That would have been a whole construction project just to get him out of there. This isn't just a case of strong stand, weak user. Black Sabbath is seriously strong. Like, top tier JoJo stand level strong. But for some reason, people barely talk about it. Now, let's talk about a stand that's literally the freaking sun. This thing shows up as a giant blazing ball of death in the sky and just cranks up the heat until the whole place becomes unlivable for any living creature. It lasts a long time too, and it's so bright it actually makes you think it's still daytime, even if it's not. Only downside, the user isn't immune to it. He's gotta find some way to not cook himself while using it. Oh, and it can shoot heat blasts that do massive damage, and those shots can be crazy accurate if the user wants. The dumbest part, it was defeated in the most ridiculous way imaginable. The Crusaders, except for Joseph, suddenly all start laughing like absolute maniacs. Turns out, they noticed 2 rocks casting shadows in different directions, which tipped them off that the user was nearby, just hiding behind a mirror. And I still ask myself, how do people even get stands in this universe? This guy was a nobody, hiding in the desert, and still came closer to killing the entire group than most of DIO's other henchmen. And seriously, the dude was ugly. Like, JoJo has some wild designs, but this guy, he looked like a mistake. Now onto Surface. The stand of Toshikazu Hazamada, easily one of the most pathetic villains in Diamond, is unbreakable, but with a stand that's actually really dangerous. Surface looks like this wooden mannequin. When someone touches it, it copies their appearance. And here's the scary part. When it stands in front of the person it copied, that person has to mimic everything it does. That's what happened to Jasuk. He saw Surface, thought it was just some dummy, touched it, and boom. Next thing you know, the stand's making him try to stab himself in the eye with a pencil. Thankfully, Jasuk was saved because Hazamada didn't know that Echo's ACT-1 had written a sound effect on Jasuk's hand to mess with him. But here's something people don't always realize. Surface is a nightmare for short-range stand users. Even though Crazy Diamond is one of the strongest punchy stands in the whole series, it couldn't do anything because Jasuk couldn't even get close to hit Hazamada. So, yeah, Surface is a goofy-looking stand. But if Hazamada weren't such a clown, he could have done way more damage. With an ability like that, Surface could actually take out a bunch of stand users. Kira wouldn't even have a shot, unless he somehow got sheer heart attack out in time. But if Surface made him off himself quick, Kira wouldn't even have time to play with his killer toy tank. And if Hazamada was like 6 meters away from Jotaro, he could probably win that too, especially in part 4. The real problem? The user's a complete moron. Hazamada is such a joke that when Rohan read about his life, he got so grossed out, he didn't even want to use him as inspiration for anything. That says a lot, considering Rohan's willing to write about just about anything. This dude is a total loser who wasted his stand on the dumbest stuff, like trying to kill someone over an anime argument, or going after Jasuk for, honestly, who even knows? I still don't get what his problem was. If he had half a brain, he could have walked up to some billionaire and made him transfer a couple $1,000,000. Or at least use Surface to stop getting picked on. Cause you just know this guy was getting bullied hard in school. Literally anything would have been smarter than what he actually did in part 4. Here's a fun little trivia. Hazamada actually starts off tall in the manga and then suddenly shrinks into a short dude. Yup. Reverse dwarfism. Araki just randomly changed his design between chapters and rolled with it. The stand of the green baby. It's not super complicated to understand, but man is it dangerous. It looks like a tiny little humanoid creature. But don't let the size fool you. This stand means business. Its whole deal is this. Anything that gets too close to the green baby and might be a threat, it gets shrunk. The closer you get, the smaller you become. It's like you're being zapped into a microscopic ant. But here's the twist. If the baby likes you, or gets curious about you, then the shrinking power just stops working. But if it doesn't want you near, you're toast. You'll get shrunk way smaller than the baby. And then you have to deal with the stand itself, which might be tiny, but it's fast and deadly. If you get too close when you're not supposed to, you'll be so tiny the baby looks like a skyscraper. And just so you know how dangerous this thing is, Jolin and Anasue only made it out alive because the baby got interested in Jolin's star-shaped birthmark. Let's not forget, the user of this stand is literally a baby. The user is super weak. Now real quick, when you think of a crazy strong stand with a trash user, what's the first one that pops into your head? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, thank you for watching the video. See you next time.